By 2019, the global pharmaceutical market had grown to $1.3 trillion annually. Behind this staggering number, a shadow industry was thriving: fabricated clinical trial data. In 2004, a single Indianapolis laboratory called CPath was quietly revolutionizing drug approval timelines, but elsewhere, less scrupulous actors were gaming a broken system. In the state of Karnataka, India, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization discovered that dozens of contract research organizations were ghostwriting trials for Western pharmaceutical companies. Patients signed consent forms they couldn't read. Blood samples were drawn from people who never took the experimental drugs. In one case documented by the FDA in 2015, the CRO Psychomedics Corporation found that hair strand analysis was being falsified to create fake evidence of drug ingestion across 17 separate trials spanning 3 continents. The financial incentive was brutal and simple. A legitimate trial could cost $40 million and take 7 years. A fabricated one cost as little as $200,000 and wrapped in 18 months. In the United States, the consequences rippled through hospital systems. By 2018, the FDA had identified at least 93 drugs that had entered the American market based partially or wholly on falsified trial data. At least 14 of these drugs were subsequently recalled after patient deaths. Marta O'Brien, a former FDA reviewer who left the agency in 2017, told a Senate subcommittee that she had personally flagged concerns about data from a Hyderabad-based CRO called Synexus Clinical Research in 2016, only to be overruled by superiors under pressure from pharmaceutical lobby groups. The drugs approved through these compromised trials included cardiac medications, antidepressants, and a widely prescribed antibiotic. Within 2 years of approval, the antibiotic alone had been linked to 47 documented cases of severe adverse reactions, including 6 deaths in Texas, California, and New York. Meanwhile, the same companies continued to harvest profit. In 2022, a leaked World Health Organization audit revealed that a CRO called Innofor Health Research, operating from Manila, had falsified trial data for at least 22 drugs still on the market in developing nations, affecting an estimated 340,000 patients across the Philippines, Nigeria, and Bangladesh. The WHO report documented consent forms signed by patients who had never enrolled in any trial and lab results showing drug concentrations in blood samples that were chemically impossible to achieve at the prescribed dosages. The enforcement mechanisms designed to catch this kind of fraud were deliberately underfunded. The FDA's Office of Criminal Investigations operated with an annual budget of roughly $65 million, a fraction of what pharmaceutical companies spent on marketing a single blockbuster drug. In Europe, the European Medicines Agency relied almost entirely on self-reporting by the very companies whose data it was supposed to verify. The system was structurally corrupt, and everyone involved knew it. The phantom trials operated on 3 invisible architecture principles that made detection nearly impossible. First, the same contract research organizations being paid to verify drug safety were also being paid by the manufacturers seeking approval, creating an irreconcilable conflict of interest. Second, trial data was routinely classified as proprietary intellectual property, preventing independent verification. Third, consent forms were presented in languages the participants could not read while recruiters collected signatures from economically desperate populations. The true death toll of pharmaceutical fraud remains impossible to calculate because the bodies are buried in statistical noise. A 2021 Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health study examined 151 recalled drugs and found those approved through compromised trial data showed a 23% higher rate of serious adverse events compared to legitimately approved medications. Every prescription filled based on fabricated evidence is a patient who becomes an unwitting participant in an experiment that never happened. In the Philippines, Maria Elena. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss the next one. Stay sharp.